Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
Alan Dixon.
How you doing?
My man.
My man.
I'm doing good.
I'm glad to be on another one of these.
Yeah, man. Won't be the last one either.
I know. Hope not. Well, when I get mine officially done, you're on it, right?
So
you're coming on.
Yeah, definitely. Is there a name for the podcast so people can be on the look, on the watch?
Well, the one that I'm launching is Investing in Nashville.
Okay.
So it's going to be pretty specific.
Yeah.
But I love this. I love the long form.
Sure.
And so this is where it's going.
So it might start with investing in Nashville, and then you might morph it from there, or who knows what from there.
To me, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Just get on, drink coffee, drink beer, bourbon, and just talk.
Well, you had, when we moved to Nashville in 2014, you were putting out some videos that were more spiritual videos. They were short 5-7 minute clips, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, dude, I know I've told you this before, but you did a great job of that. They were very, very good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. It was wise and it was helpful, and you did a great job. So
it's funny.
You need to get back on a podcast, man.
One of them popped up like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it was like, I mean, that had to have been like 10 years ago,
right?
Like, you could tell I like had the baby face,
oh, yeah?
no beard.
What do you mean it popped up?
Like a memory
on the Googles?
Yeah, a memory. Like
on
like,
Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I guess I should preface that. But it actually popped up on Facebook. Oh, you have a memory from 10 years ago.
Yes.
And I'm like, holy crap! Has
yes.
it been that long?
That's great. So what I wanted to have you back on for, Alan Dixon, is you recently made a pivot in your business.
Yeah, I did.
And I want to just focus on that for this episode.
Yeah.
So I'd like to really hear that get fleshed out. For the listeners, we moved to Nashville March of 2014. Mariana and I, Lincoln was born at that point. We had Jackson. It was just the two. It was just those two.
Just those two.
So now we've had 3 native Tennessean kids. It's crazy to think,
we
man.
were actually the first people to meet Ava.
You and Lauren?
Me and Lauren. I remember that.
Really?
Like before even Ben got in on the game. Like we was there.
Nice.
I do remember that.
Okay. So it was mom and dad and the midwives, then next was you.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I wanted to point out was when we moved down here, we didn't know anyone at all. And we wound up going to the same church in Mount Juliet and coincidentally lived 2 houses apart on the same side of the street, and bought within, what do you say, a month?
Like literally, we both bought, I think, in October. If I remember. Like literally, we bought within the same month. Yeah, and went to the same church that had 16 people.
Yeah, yeah, like 20 people.
There was not,
and there was one house in between us.
One house in between us.
And I mean, we were going to be friends anyway, but then we were beyond hope at that point. We spent a lot of evenings on the back porch.
Man, I tell you what,
drinking
I'll
bourbon,
be honest,
smoking cigars.
I still miss those times.
I do too, bro. I do too.
I felt like there was a point in which either I was at your house or you were at my house.
Yes,
we were at each other's homes 3 nights a week smoking cigars.
Yes.
I mean, those drinking bourbon, smoking cigars, talking about life.
A lot of good conversations.
That's how the bison came up.
Yes, it is. Actually, that is actually true. The bison, why there's bison everywhere here around is I like what the bison stands for. They're smart. They're fast. They're sometimes unpredictable.
And they charge right toward problems.
They go into problems instead of running away from problems. But there's there's all these side benefits to their existence. So as they're just going about being a bison, there's a lot of side benefits. I mean, for one, the Indians utilized every part of their body, including their poop.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, but their poop at the very least makes great fire starter and stuff. But the other cool thing is their hooves poke tiny holes in the prairie floor, so that the next time it rains, because prairies tend to be more dry, so the next time it rains, that rain settles into the earth more. So there's just a lot of cool things about them. But what I like most about them, I think, is that they face into challenge. Instead of trying to run away from it. So wolves are a good example. If you see a wolf trying to attack a herd of bison, they're all facing outward, heading into the danger. Storms, cows run away from a storm, bison run into the storm. But then even as far as them being smart, bison do not defecate in water. So if you've seen like farm cows,
definitely not a cow.
Farm cows in hot areas will wade into a pond and poop in it and sit in there and drink the water that they just pooped in. Bison don't poop in water.
You know, I did know about the prairie thing. I didn't know about the poop.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they're smart. And they're fast. They can run faster than a horse.
So can the rhino.
So fast. We need to talk about the rhino because this is where this came from. It was I want to say it was a Sunday night. You and I were on a walk. I don't know if it was Sunday night for sure, but we were on a walk and you were telling me about the rhino and what the rhino stands for. And there's some similarities between the bison and the rhino. Basically, I just kind of copied and changed a few things. But I was so
bison
intrigued.
Is pretty incredible.
I was so intrigued by what you were saying about the rhino. I remember telling you, I was like, man, I need to find an animal like that. And so you helped me come up with the bison. Yeah. I remember the whole bison culture thing, because that's kind of how I think about it, refer to it as like bison culture. Mm-hmm. You know, formidable on their own and almost unstoppable as a team, you know, a lot of those things. So yeah, the bison has, I don't know if I'd call it a spirit animal because I don't even know what a spirit animal is. But, you know, I have one of these on my desk, and anytime I need to make a phone call that I'm not looking forward to or have a meeting that I would rather not have, you know, not every time, but occasionally I'll look at that bison and be like, they press into their problems, so can I.
And I will say that has always been the thing that I've admired about you in our friendship is, I mean, you definitely have never been afraid to make those hard decisions, right? And it's something that for me doesn't come naturally, right? Because I hate conflict, right? And so that is something that I have always admired about you is, you know, hey, it is what it is. We're going to have the conversation. We're going to deal with it, you know, good, bad, or ugly.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yes.
And, you know, the faster you get through it, the quicker it's over.
Yeah, and it feels better when you face into your issues and resolve them. You know, because sometimes there's an email or there's a voicemail, you know, particularly when things aren't going great and you know it's not a good email or a good voicemail. You kind of want to run from it, you know? And there are times where like, maybe on a weekend, I'll specifically not look at my emails because I know there's one in there that's just going to ruin my whole weekend, you know? Not so much now, but when the business was going through a really tough time, or an evening, you know, being careful which texts I look at or which emails, you know, because I don't want it, because it'll set me off, like it'll ruin my evening. However, if you like avoid it for a few days, it wears on you. So it's better just to get it, you know, the next day or whenever, just get it done.
Almost like, for me, it's almost like the pent up anxiety that the longer you let it go, the 100%. the longer you go without having that hard conversation.
Yes.
It
builds up.
It builds up.
It builds up. Yeah.
And I ultimately, it makes it worse in the end, I believe.
Yes, I totally agree.
And that is something that I think is really hit home for me over the last however long, 18 months, 2 years, and is just deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, go head first, go into it.
Yep.
Because, you know, it's never, because it's only going to get harder from this point forward.
Yeah.
Right? It's never it's not like if we wait, it's going to get easier.
Well, it's also sort of I don't know if you could probably call it a self-esteem thing, or it's a subconscious wear on your person. And if you know you're procrastinating or avoiding something for too long, it's almost like discipline, like it bleeds into other areas of life. And then you feel worse about yourself. You don't feel disciplined. You don't, you know, all of these negative things start to sort of compound. But if you can kind of turn it the other way, and when there's an issue, you face it. When there's a call that needs to be made, you make it.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, it's not going to be, you're not going to be perfect with it. Sometimes you push it off an extra day maybe than you should. But like when you just know like you're going to face into it, then you start to build on the positive, you know, and you start to have more discipline and better self-esteem and a better, you know, state of mind, all of those things. So I think it kind of works either in the negative or the positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%. When did you kind of light onto the rhino, and tell us what's there that resonated with you?
I honestly don't remember. I know when I did the you referenced them earlier, the Marvin Bella, the videos that I called Marvin Bella.
Yeah.
I know that I had the rhino back then. It was it was my central thing, and it probably connected to the fact that I think I fell in love with it when we lived in Africa for those 2 summers.
Okay.
Right. So there's just the idea. I've never pinpointed it.
Yeah.
But when I think about it, that's when I believe that kind of love started.
Yeah.
Because we spent 2 summers in Africa.
Yep.
And, we got to see rhino. We got to see all of it. And, rhino is, of course, one of the big 5, right? The big scary 5 animals in Africa. And I think there's just something that always stood out about them.
What are the other 4? When you say the big 5, what are you talking about?
There's the
lions?
The lions.
Okay.
There's I believe the cheetah. Right? No, wait. So I know the hippo.
Okay.
You got the rhino. You got the lion. You've got. Oh man, what are the other 2?
I've never heard of like the
You've never heard
big
the big
5.
five?
No. I've never heard of that.
What are
I wonder
the
if
other 2?
elephants make the list because they can be pretty. They can be pretty unsettling if they're pissed off too.
Probably. I mean, because there's
is there wolves in Africa?
No.
There are
wolves?
those.
I'm sure there's an African.
There are
version.
those. What do you call those things, Lincoln? What do they call those? They're not wolves. They're not cheetahs. They're what is it? Hyenas.
Yeah,
hyenas.
Yeah.
Those things scare me. They have a really strong jaw and a really strong front quarters. Those hyenas do.
Yeah, the lion, the leopard, the rhino, the elephant, and the buffalo.
The lion,
the buffalo,
the leopard.
Yep.
The rhino.
Yep. The elephant.
The elephant.
And the Cape buffalo.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Yep.
Cool. Well,
so when you go, there's always, whenever you buy like the trinkets, like our equivalent of like the gift shops.
Yep.
And they're all homemade, which is fascinating too. But it's like all out of soapstone and all this stuff. But
right.
I think that's where I really fell in love with it, and kind of for me. Even my last company, my logo was a rhino.
Yes, it was.
Because to me, it's always
looked
had.
Good too, by the way.
Did it?
It did look good. I'll give you that. That's one thing you've always been really good at. I don't know if you designed them. I don't think you designed it yourself.
I did actually.
Did you? But but that design, you have a good touch for that branding aspect.
To me, it raised a lot of questions, which is kind of the purpose of it.
What is it about the rhino that resonates so much with you?
I think for me, it really has 2 meanings, right? Kind of a double-sided meaning. The interesting thing about the rhino is outside of the Indian one-horn rhino, every breed has 2 giant horns, for coming out of the front of their face.
Right.
And for perspective, they weigh up to 5,300 pounds.
What's a ton? 2,000 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2.5 tons.
2.5 tons.
Over 2.5. That's 2 Volkswagen Beetles stacked on top of each other.
Can you imagine, dude? That's crazy.
Like that's a massive being.
Yeah.
And most people don't know, just like the bison, they can run faster than a horse, right? So when they put their head down, you're not stopping them. Like it's over. Like they're going, and they can turn on a dime too. Like it's not like they're like a bus. They can go and boom, turn that fast. And on one hand, it's always had this representation of like when you put your head down, as long as you don't stop, literally nothing's going to stop you.
Yep.
Right. Like it may take you longer. It may take you longer than you hope. May take you longer than you think. But as long as you keep pushing and you do not stop, like nothing is going to stop you from hitting your goals.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then the other aspect is they get with other rhinos and form what they call a crash. Right. In fact, whenever I used to hire people onto the team, I would always sign it off saying "Welcome to the crash," and I would sign my name. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
What's a crash? I've never heard that.
A crash is what they call like a group,
like a herd.
Like a herd.
Okay.
There's like a herd of rhino.
A herd of rhinos is called a crash.
It's called a crash.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so, I mean, for good reason, because literally, if one of them was unstoppable, you put 12 of them together and they all charge. I mean, literally, they would knock down trees in their way. Like they would clear.
You could take down a building.
They would literally clear paths whenever they would all run together.
Yeah.
So it's this double side of one, be the best, don't stop.
Yeah.
Like to be at least the best version of myself that I can.
Yeah, I love that.
And the other thing is to surround yourself with the best. Like surround yourself with other really great people And if you're invincible by yourself, if you get with other great people and you put yourself on a mission together, you're truly going to be unstoppable.
Yeah. Yep.
So
yeah, and don't you think part of it is just the heart too? Because like rhinos have off days, rhinos have bad days. So do the bison. You know what I mean? Like they get sick sometimes. It's not like they're these perfect creatures.
Yeah.
I mean, they're creatures.
And honestly, that here's the thing, and even the negative traits I kind of connect with. Like they don't have real good eyesight, so
Really?
they that's one of the things. That's why they put their head down and they just go, because they can't see us super far away. And so
Fascinating.
it would benefit me more to just raise my head a little bit and say like, is this the direction? Which I've been working on. Which we're
going to talk a lot about on this podcast.
Yeah.
Before we do that, I have a CBD joint for you if you want to smoke it.
I'm down.
So just for the listeners, this is 100% legal in Tennessee.
Okay.
I actually do not know if it's legal federally or not.
Well,
Be something that could be it could be interesting.
This is hypothetical anyway.
I can't imagine that CBD is illegal in any state because it's 100% non-psychoactive. So CBD comes from comes from the same plant as marijuana. But
they don't have
there's
the
a difference.
THC or something?
Yeah, that's right. So CBD doesn't have any
I know this stuff.
THC, whatever. CBD doesn't have any THC. THC is the ingredient that's more psychoactive, which I think is what maybe the government didn't like and why they made it legal. I'm not 100% sure. Anyhow, occasionally, and this is a prime example, and these little buggers, these are premium CBD joints. This little thing right here is $7.
Holy moly. That's as much as my cigars.
Right. It's $7.
Holy, that's like a tenth of my cigar.
Premium CBD in there.
How do you, okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How do you hold a CBD?
Well, the real question is how do you hold a joint, I guess, because that's what this is a joint. It's just, it's just CBD.
Well, I've never smoked a joint. Oh, wow.
Okay. So you just hold it. I mean, just, I guess you'd probably do it like you smoke a cigarette. Where I was going with this, though, is that, I like to smoke things. We smoked our share of cigars together. I like the act. There's something about the act of smoke. But anyhow, I feel zero. CBD is supposed to relax you. It's good for your body. It's supposed to relax, like if you have tight muscles and things. So I'm curious to see if you feel relaxed at all or not. I don't feel a single thing, but occasionally I will reward myself on the podcast. Someone will be like, yeah, if you work out a little extra hard, later on, after you work out, you get to shower, you have a coffee and smoke CBD or whatever. So that's all this is. Anyhow, I wanted to get to the point of this conversation, which is your pivot. So if you can give us a rundown of where were your plans taking you and what changed? Just jump in wherever you want.
Man, okay. So where does this begin? I guess this really goes back at least a couple years. Okay. So I think that's where I want to go. Because, I guess it goes back a couple years. And it's something that we've talked about, so I'll talk about it here. My wife and I, it's definitely never been an easy road, right, for us. A lot of things without going into too much. It's definitely never been an easy
business
path.
or life, or what are we talking about here?
Marriage.
Marriage?
Yeah,
Okay.
just marriage. Here, I'll go ahead and light up real fast, by the way.
You've had challenges, and so has every marriage, But what I respect about you guys is I really respect your fight. You and Lauren are both fighters, which probably has contributed to the challenge.
It has.
You know what I mean?
No
because
question.
you're a fighter and Lauren's a fighter, and so that probably has contributed to the challenge. But also, there's a lot of good there too.
So, a couple years ago, I really hit this point in my life where, we wasn't in a great place, and we both kind of hit this point where, this is it. I call it my Starbucks moment, because Starbucks is really the very moment in which life changed for me. And I made a commitment to myself. I'm going to be me no matter what. Good, bad, ugly, this is it moving forward. And so it really I've been on this journey. Like, obviously, I've been documenting through the vlog. We do a vlog about
Where
it.
can people find that, by the way?
YouTube. You
Okay.
can find it.
Do they just search Alan Dixon?
They can just
or-
search Alan Dixon.
Okay.
We don't actually push it very hard on YouTube
Sure.
because I just don't understand how the algorithm works and all
Right.
that. So they can find it on my Instagram. They can find it on my Facebook. We post it through there.
I see.
But I mean, we talk about it. It's called From the Ground Up. We've been trying to document this idea of like building the business. It was early on. We were in this crappy like ghetto office, and I was 45 pounds heavier and all this, when I started. And in a lot of ways, the vlog has been this documentary of like, the business. But at the end of the day, it's really not about the business. It's about finding myself, right?
Not to interject, which I just did, but you should maybe just give us a brief history of Alan Dixon and then walk us into Dixon Group Realty and,
Okay.
whatever you want to, like where you're from and just some of your family, stuff like that.
From Defeated, Tennessee. It's one of those towns got welcome on both sides of the sign kind of places. Yeah. It is a really beautiful place. You're 20 minutes from a gallon of milk kind of place, but it's like Mayberry. It's built around the Cordell Lake. I mean, it's just gorgeous, but there's just nothing much there, right? So that's where I grew up. Had a good child. I'm close with all my siblings, right? I got 2 brothers, a sister, 2 stepbrothers, 2 stepsisters, kind of thing. And I don't know. I just always knew, like, I grew up there, but I remember distinctively moments in my life where I knew, like, hey, I'm not going to be here forever. Like, I just knew I wasn't going to be here forever.
Is that because you wanted more? You wanted a challenge? You wanted to go conquer the world?
At the time, I didn't know.
Okay.
I think there's moments in your life where you just have instinct. Like,
Right.
I just know something.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was one of those things.
I
Like, I
see.
didn't know how or why or anything.
Yeah.
But I knew like it's, yeah, I've always had that. One of my struggles, and I document this, I talk about this a lot. One of my big insecurities that I've always dealt with is feeling like I had to prove myself, right? Like I needed to be better. I needed to prove myself. I'm going to stick it to the world. I was always the kid who walked around barefoot. Like I wore house shoes like all through my high school. Like I wore tennis shoes maybe 5 times in all of my high school. Yeah.
What were you wearing?
Like-
By the way, you can use this as an ashtray too if you need to flick off some of that. How you liking it so far?
It's good.
You don't mind the taste? You like the taste?
No, I don't mind it. Yeah. It's good.
To be honest, there's not much of a taste.
That's what I'm saying. It ain't bad.
Yeah, there's not much of a taste, but this is why I like it too, because I would never smoke a cigarette or a cigar or even like a black and mild in this office.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to flick off some of that in there.
Yeah.
But this, you can smoke it in here, and the next day you won't smell anything. You won't smell it on your clothes or anything.
That's interesting.
Yeah, just use that as an ashtray.
Yeah. I just got it all over
So
your
back,
table.
just brush it.
Anyway.
So back to moccasins.
So yeah, that's just kind of who it was. I just always was trying to prove a point. Like I don't really care what you think. And I think part of it was a facade. Right?
I was just going to ask:
It's
are
a
you putting
facade.
off this facade that I don't care what you think because you actually really care?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I always kind of tried to put out this thing of like I don't care what you think. Like I'm just gonna be me.
Yep.
And there was an aspect of that which is true.
Yep.
But I very much cared what people think. Like I always grew up with this. Like Alan's the good kid. Like I was the kid that never talked back and all that stuff. So,
Okay.
like they used to joke around and call me Jesus. Like early on kind of thing. So, I kind of felt like I had this weight of keeping the persona going, right? So yeah, it was a facade. Yeah, for sure. Which I didn't really realize until later on or really come to accept.
Right.
Right. But yeah, no, there's no question.
Yeah.
No question. So, let's see, about 10 years ago, we'd been married. Man, I got married way young. I was a 20. Lauren was 19.
Really? That was basically Marianne and I. She was 19.
Yeah, y'all was young. Y'all
basically the same age. What
think
year did
y'all-
you get married?
I knew you was going to ask
We
me that.
were 06.
We was 06. October.
2006. Oh, yeah. September 2006.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, we was like right, because we were October 7th, and you was real close to us.
Okay. Wow.
Because y'all are hitting 14 years, right?
I don't know.
I think so, because we just hit 13.
Idea. Okay. That sounds about right then.
I'm way too young to be married 13 years.
Right? It's crazy.
Right? Anyway.
Yeah.
So, we dealt with a lot of stuff, we've dealt with infertility. We've talked about a lot. So about 10 years ago, we knew like something had to change. So we literally packed up one day. We talked about it for a long time, but literally one Sunday, we woke up and we said, today's the day. We loaded everything we had except for our dog, because we couldn't take our dog with us, in the back of my Kia Sorento. I'm going to tell you, the thing was such a piece of crap. This is true. This is true story. It was so bad that I had to carry 3 gallons of water in the back of my Sorento. Because look, this is a true story.
To put it in the radiator?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Every time that I stopped at a location, I had to refill it up with water.
Oh my goodness,
true.
dude.
That is, I promise. That is true.
Put some tape on that bad boy.
It was so bad, but I was too poor. I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
We didn't have money to buy a new vehicle. And so literally I kept 3 gallons of water and I would fill it up every about 3-4 hours, when I had to.
Yeah.
And I'd go to a gas station. I'm like, I got any water? And I would fill it up. It's true. But we just decided, like, come hell or high water, like, we're doing this. Like, we're doing that. I can still see the lamp shoved up against the glass in the back seat, because, like, literally everything we cared about was in the back of that Kia, and we just drove.
Where did you know where you were going to go?
No. At that time, we had decided. We had actually made like 3 trips to South Carolina, because we actually thought we was going to move to South Carolina.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that I never heard.
Yeah, most people don't know that.
Wow.
We just told people we was going on vacation or just driving around, but we like went and looked at apartments and everything.
Why South Carolina?
We didn't know. We just I don't know. I just like the name of South Carolina, and they have maybe they have the Palm Beach for their flag. I have no idea.
Maybe. Thank God you wound up in Nashville.
Yeah. So that's where we were set on, and we had some friends, mutual friends, Nate and Kendra Yule. Mm-hmm. They were in Mount Juliet, and Lauren grew up in Mount Juliet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we were already, I didn't really know anybody there, but we were familiar. We had some level of friends in Mount Juliet. So we literally just got in the car and just drove. We had no idea where we were going. We assumed it was somewhere around Nashville, and we stayed at 2 different hotels, and then we stayed at an extended stay, and until an apartment opened up.
What were you doing what happened with your job at this point?
What are you doing? At this point, I owned a business with my brother. Mm-hmm. We had 2008 hit, right, 2 years before, and we were working for one of my uncles. And he was, if he wasn't making $400,000 or $500,000, he didn't even care. Mm-hmm. Like, we were working 20 hours a week, he didn't care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we're like, if we're going to starve, we'll starve on our own. So we launched our own business, and about that time, that's when it really kind of started to take off. But I just knew, I just wanted to get a little closer to civilization, like that kind of tug, that pull, kind of thing.
Did your brother knew you were going to move on that Sunday?
No, nobody did.
Did he know at some point you might move?
Well, we had talked about it.
Okay.
We had talked about it to a lot of people, but everybody said, yeah, right. Like, you're never moving.
What was it about that Sunday that you were like, today's the day, we're gone?
I tell you what it was. I know exactly what made that day it. We were renting a house from my mom and stepdad, and they were actually moved out. Like that, like they weren't living there. But he traveled for work, and I can't remember how it all played out. Lauren would know. But they moved in like 3 or 4 days prior. Like, they had moved back into that house.
And you were in the house.
And we were in the house.
Oh, so your mom and stepdad move in with you.
And like they were thinking about going to the house next door because they own 2 houses.
I see.
But I just knew in myself, like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, we're out.
We're out.
Okay.
We're out. I don't care. I don't care if we got to live in a hotel.
Did they see you packing? Were they home when you left?
I don't remember.
Really?
I don't remember. I just know I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah.
They had to have.
Okay.
It was Sunday, so I don't remember if we skipped church to go move. I think we did. I think that's right.
Was it intentional, like an undercover operation? Like you're going to sneak out, or it was just like, no, we're moving?
No, literally, we woke up that morning and said, today's the day.
I see.
Like, we didn't even, like, the night before, before was my sister's wedding.
Oh, wow.
I think that's right.
Wow.
And like she got married the next day. I think that's maybe why they even was in town.
I see.
They got married, and we didn't think nothing.
Yeah.
Woke up Sunday morning and we said today's the day.
Today we moved to Nashville.
Today we moved.
See, today we move. We don't know where.
We don't know where. We just move. And we stayed to a hotel for a week. We stayed at another hotel for another week, and then we stayed at an extended stay because we wanted to be able to cook some food.
Where? Around Nashville?
Off Lebanon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we had identified where we lived, Deerfield.
Okay.
But because they were one of two places that allowed a big dog because our dog was over 35 pounds. And so we literally had two options. And so they said, well, we got this coming up in like 2 weeks. We're like, we'll take it.
I see.
So, and to this day, I don't know how we afforded it. Like we filed, I remember my first year, we filed $18,000 for our tax return.
Yeah.
Like we wasn't making a lot of money.
Sure.
Now, by that time, it might have been a little more, but not much.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway. But
well, you want to file as low a number as possible in the tax return.
Yeah, but it went on purpose. This wasn't strategic, Kent.
It was just being real.
We're just poor. Yeah, like that. I remember, like the legit. We lived. We rented that house from my mom. Rent was like $400, right? Like it was nothing. And I remember distinctly a lot of months we couldn't pay the rent. And then we moved into this place that was like $800 a month because we just didn't know. We just like we're just gonna figure it out.
Yeah,
I don't know how we're gonna do it. We're gonna figure it out.
Well, it did. I mean, it worked.
It worked,
right?
It worked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, at what point here are you thinking about starting your own business?
So we dabbled in it for a while. We had a cleaning business for a little bit. I knew I needed to get a real job, so because I can't. It was paying the bills, but not much.
Sure.
So I got into sales. Did good with that.
Was this Cooks?
Cooks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pest control.
Yep.
But you were crushing, by the way. When I met you, you were their top performing sales guy, correct?
Yeah. In our office, all 4 years I was there. So
top performing sales guy in your office. How many salespeople working out of that office?
I wasn't a ton. I was like, I think when I left, maybe 6.
Okay.
So I mean,
in all 4 years, you were top in the office.
Yeah. So I started off as like the low guy, just setting up appointments. Then got a territory and just as number one every year that I was there. Yeah,
and you were what I respected about you when you were doing that is you had it down to a science.
I did have
how to find leads, how to work the leads, how to when you met someone at their house, what you said, how you said it.
Yeah.
I mean, you really spent a lot of attention and time on like developing that. Not every salesperson does.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really respect about you.
Well, I mean, when I got there, like I was making like $2,000 a month in salary to set up appointments for other dudes, right? And so the guy before me would set up like 3 appointments a month. Again, very low bar getting into this. So like the only reason why they had to hire somebody is because corporate made them hire a position there. But by the time I got promoted, I was setting up 8 appointments a day. And I actually had to cut and go home because they didn't want me to set up any more appointments. Right.
Wow.
So anyway, a guy got fired, gave me an opportunity, and so I was very grateful, very grateful for them. But I remember you talking about marketing when my brother and I were together. I remember writing marketing plans on like the 2x4s of the house while we were building it. It's just kind of always been that thing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Kind of ornery.
Sure.
Kind of always, that's kind of been it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So fast forward 4 years. Yeah, there you go. Fast forward. I went to buy my house. I had an experience. I wouldn't say that I had a terrible experience, but it wasn't great. Like to me, I being in sales, I'm like, this is about the customer, create a great experience. Didn't think that I had that. And I said, man, these jokers can do it. Like I can do it. Right. So I got my license, January 28th, and I knew
of what year?
2015, because that was the year my son was born.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015.
January of 2015, you got your real estate license. Now, did you know, how long was it before that point that you knew you wanted to get into real estate?
Oh, I didn't even think about real estate until we bought our house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that seems to be
Interesting.
the thing about my life is I just don't know. I'll see something like it's time. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah,
just make a
fascinating.
decision, right? So I actually had never even considered real estate until I bought my house, and I was just like, man, I just feel like it could be done better. Like I just feel like, if we take care of the client, like it's got to be a better way to do this kind of thing. And then a couple months later, a few months, however long it was, we did it.
Yeah.
Actually, I applied for a management position and didn't get it, to a guy that's an incredible guy, good buddy of mine to this day. But I knew once I didn't get that, I'm like, I'm not waiting around for 10 years with my hand up waiting to be picked.
Applied for management position at Cook's or some other company?
At Cook's, yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Cook's,
I see.
Yeah, and I think that was really the catalyst of kind of really forcing me into it.
Ooh, fascinating.
Yeah, there's no question. Like,
so thank God you didn't get the management upgrade.
100%.
Wow.
If I would have got it, I would have stayed there. No question.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Your life could be very different right now.
Yeah.
If you had allowed yourself to be promoted.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's not quite. You were trying to get promoted.
I was trying to get promoted.
Been promoted.
Yeah. I mean, like I tell you, I went so far as to water. I pulled the Cook's logo off of the internet. I faded it just enough to make it look like a watermark on my resume.
Ooh,
like
wow.
I went that far, my man.
Wow.
Like so that if you looked at it, you looked real close, real faded.
They probably didn't give two craps.
No, he was incredibly impressed.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I mean, he told me, he's like, look, I can't not hire this guy. This guy's been with the company for 12 years.
I see.
He's been President's Club like 5 times. Okay. And so like he told me, he said, man, you were like, I had to hire this guy.
Yeah.
And I had no hard feelings.
Yeah.
Like the guy that didn't give me the position, I'm helping him sell his house tomorrow, right? So I mean, there's no hard feelings,
right? Yeah.
But I mean, I went all out. I mean, I was Googling how to make. I mean, the resume was popping. He looked at it. He said, "What the hell is this?"
I love that.
Like he looked at it. He's like, "What the hell is this?" Like because he knew how much time and energy I put in that, and he told me afterward. He's like, dude, I would have completely hired you.
It's probably the only resume that he's ever had before or since that someone put the Cook's logo on.
Oh yeah, yeah. And again, it was just faded enough that it looked like a water, like it was like
just right.
Yeah. Anyway, and like we're going through the resume. He's like, and I would kind of just naturally doing the mimicking thing. And he said, I know what you're doing here.
Said, really? He picked up on it?
Oh yeah. He said, I know what you're doing. He said, you're making me feel comfortable. I said, yeah, that's what. He said, that's what I'm supposed to do. He goes, yeah, I know.
Rapport. Really, all people prefer others reflecting themselves. Rapport.
Yeah.
RAPPORT.
So me not getting that position is what really didn't realize the boat was a huge blessing. It just shifted my life.
Yeah. Wow.
And at that point, I'm like, I'm not going to wait for the next 10 years waiting to get picked. Like, that's just not me.
Right.
So, and I'm like, I'm just not going to do it.
Good choice.
So, yeah, good choice now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so January 2015, I got my license, and I knew like from the day that I got my license, I'm like, I'm starting my own business, like period. And actually to the day, 3 years on my third 3-year anniversary, which is how long you have to have your license to be a broker, to sign up for broker classes. On the anniversary, I signed up for broker classes because I knew
January 28th, 2018.
Yep. So January 28th. I know I'm going on this a long time, but got my license, sold part-time until August. And just as a little perspective, we had been in the process of adopting. Mm-hmm. And we'd been in the process for adopting for like 2 years, mm-hmm. almost 2.5 years at this point. And I told my wife, I said, listen, if we're ever going to do, like, we can't do, and honestly, look, this is another thing. I quit full time to go into real estate August 1st, 2015. Mm-hmm. August 10th, we get a call from my adoption agent. Hey, by the way, there's this boy, but he's already born. He's, I think 4 weeks at this time. No, 6 weeks. 6 weeks. I know you're looking for like a newborn. Are you willing to be shown? We're like, absolutely. By the 19th, August 19th, he was in our house. So had I quit 1 month later, I would have never quit Cook's. Or it would have been at least 2 or 3 years later. I mean, because
Really?
look,
just because of the financial security.
yeah.
Wow,
I mean, because
that's
honestly,
something.
the 6 months from August 1st to going through that first winter and spring cycle was the hardest time of my life. Period.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I can definitely say as from a financial work stance. I mean, literally, I'm hanging drywall in houses to make them pass FHA, right? To make them pass loan. You know, I'm
Just to be able to get it closed.
just to get it closed. Like I'm so broke. Like I'm in between showings. I'm driving for Amazon. You know, paying.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, remember that?
Yes.
Just to pay the bills. We're so broke because I'm like, we got a new baby. I got a new career.
And when you're selling real estate like that, it's 100% commission,
Yeah,
baby.
it's a doggy
You got no guarantee. You got no
dog
salary.
world.
You sell and make some money, or you don't make, or you don't make money.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't. I mean, like
Yeah.
they know they hear that, but understanding like it is a dog eat dog world
For sure. Well, a lot of agents are part time, true, right? Because there's I don't know what the stats are, but there's a lot of agents that don't make. I don't know what
the typical agent does 4 to 6 deals a year.
Right.
Like that's nothing,
And you can't live on that.
No,
right?
Absolutely not.
So there's a lot of part
the
time.
average agent across the United States makes $28,000 a year before taxes.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you can't live on that.
Yeah.
So, you know, not only had I got that position, I probably wouldn't have got into real estate. Had I quit real estate 1 month later, I probably wouldn't have got into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because
had you quit Cooks?
Had I quit Cooks,
right.
yeah. But we just said, come hell or high water, we're going to figure it out.
Yep, you did.
We're going to do it.
So it was real tough at the beginning. When did you start to gain some sort of momentum?
Probably that following summer. I mean, a good 6 to 9 months later. It was whenever we really got enough steam that, like, all right, the bills are getting paid consistently, you know, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, then bring us into then your plan for what you had planned with your brokerage and what all that entailed, and then how you shifted recently away from that.
Yeah. So, you know, like we mentioned, I literally from the day I got my license, I've kind of always been a dreamer and a vision guy. I always, you know, I want to learn a language, and next thing you know, I want to learn 10. Like I want to learn 10 languages, you know.
My problem is I want to learn a language, so I start and I'm like, I don't want to learn this after all. I quit.
Hey, look, that's the thing. Like, at least you know that about yourself. You know, a lot of people have a hard time quitting it because they're like, I've committed to it. And then they actually quit, but they don't tell themselves they quit. They tell themselves they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But they actually have quit.
I agree. And this is something we can get into. I want you to hit your story first. But even the idea of not finishing a book, that's actually... I finished most of the books that I start, but just, you know, it was only the last couple of years where someone was like, no, if they start reading a book and they don't like it, they just quit. Yeah. They don't have to finish that book.
Yeah. I've gotten a lot better. I used to be the guy that I had to finish every book that I started, and I would actually draw my logo, my emblem, my personal logo on the inside of all the books that I would read. Just to prove, like, this is when I read that.
What was your personal logo? Was it a rhino?
Well, this was pre-rhino.
Oh, wow.
It was a lizard.
Really?
Actually, yes.
Huh.
Because lizards are the only animal that never stop growing. From the time that they're born to the time that they die, they never stop growing.
Really?
And so that was my original. See, most people don't know that. That was my original concept.
Oh, fascinating. Now, if they don't die from natural causes or get hit by a car, do they turn into iguanas?
I have a really good
crocodiles?
friend. I have a really good friend who believes that lizards are dinosaurs. They're modern day dinosaurs. They just don't have because
I agree. You look at them, bro. What do they call Lincoln? What do they call those big tall birds with long feet? Blue herons? What's that? Falcons? No, I think I'm thinking of a blue heron. You look at we were in Alabama at the ocean, and there was a blue heron in the water, and it was real tame, and we got real close to it. And when you look at that, the long legs and the body and the way the wings were and the way their head and their neck is shaped, you look at it fly, and then you look at some of the pictures of like dinosaurs that used to fly and stuff like that. And you look at an iguana, you can't tell me, you know.
Well, because he said, imagine if, he would say, all right, if their atmosphere was better like it used to be, and you didn't die, and you could live for 900 years, it would be a dinosaur.
Interesting. So just to be clear, so I would probably disagree with that. I would think of it more in terms of like they're in the same maybe family or something, or there's physical resemblances.
He thinks it's like the one of the dinosaurs that didn't die.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah, maybe not.
I don't know either, but either way, they never stop until they die.
Yeah. So this was a logo you were writing inside of all these books.
it was I can show you sometime, but it was a lizard holding an alpha and an omega.
Oh, wow.
And he was looking to the omega. That's what it was. Alpha omega. He had his head turned to the omega, and then the first 5 letters were 91096 and then 50312. Remember the password? Anyway, that's where that came from.
What was the password? Did you just give us a password?
No. Well, I don't use it anymore.
Okay.
But 91096 is the day that I come to faith.
Oh, okay.
91096. Yeah. That was the day that I come to faith.
Oh, cool.
50312 is the 50th book, 3rd chapter, 12th verse. Yeah. So
what's that?
Not that I can't quote it. I'm terrible at it now. But pretty much the premise is people would probably slam me right now, but not that I've already achieved it. But I
press
Philippians
on to the mark.
Yeah, Philippians 5:12.
Oh, fascinating.
50th book.
Oh, cool.
3rd chapter, 12th verse.
I like that logo.
So 91096 50312, and then Alpha and Omega.
Sweet. Yeah. That would make a pretty badass tattoo. I'm sure you've had this thought already.
Yeah. Well, it sounds a lot cooler than it looks on paper.
I'm sure it looks pretty cool. Yeah. Depends who draws it.
I draw it, so it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
But anyway, what was we lost it?
I don't know. We were talking about the lizard. That's what got us.
So yeah, well, I don't know how we got tracked on that. But
where were we, Lincoln?
We were talking about my son, right?
Yes. We were talking about next summer. We were actually talking about how you got into the brokerage and the business and where you were going with all of that, and then what changed your mind.
Yeah. So really, the last 2 years, about this is kind of going full circle. About the time that we were launching the business, and even maybe a little bit before that, Lauren and I came to an impasse in our marriage, and we're like, we either fix it or we call it quits.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know how many people know that. I mean, obviously our friends know that.
Mm-hmm.
I think family knows that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just where we were
mm-hmm.
in our marriage, and so we're like, we don't know if we're gonna make it, but we're gonna go to counseling. We're gonna see, and it was kind of that moment of like, we're just gonna put it all out on the table, and just see what happens. No expectations. We're just gonna put everything out on the table.
Yep.
If we survive, we survive.
Yep.
If we don't, we don't.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna be honest with each
mm-hmm.
other. Done. Boom. And it was. It was hard. I mean, it was tough, and without getting into too much, we had very candid conversations, and for a long time we didn't think we was gonna make it. So and honestly, it was more of not like we really found ourselves in a place where we didn't think we were over. We were trying to figure out how we're going to tell the family. Right. Like it was there.
In other words, you were at the place where you knew it was over?
We knew it was over.
You knew it was over?
We knew it was over. We just like, all right, how are we going to break this to everybody?
Yeah. You were almost past the point of decision and into the realm of like damage control.
Mm-hmm. And both of us really, it forced us on this journey. And this actually does all have a point, by the way. It forced us on this journey of we have to really, for the first time in our life, and especially the first time in our marriage, have hard discussions, right? Have those kinds of discussions of like, who am I? Mm-hmm. What do I really want in life? Like who, just owning up to those things, right? And so it's really been this journey of, I have insecurities. I'm going to talk about them. Like that's why when we talk about it in the vlog, like I try to be intentional. I'm not trying to overplay it, but I try to really hard to be open about like, dude, I have insecurities. Like,
Yep.
you know, I have this little man concept, you know, complex, if you will, of like, I got to stick it to the world. And so really, you know, for a long time, for at least twice a month, we would go through therapy together and then individually. And it really, I think the individually working on ourselves is what is what really brought us out on the other side. And for me, having that decision, what I learned more than anything is I've got to be honest with myself, right? No matter what, I got to be honest with myself first. And so we start the business, and actually it does okay. I mean, you know,
The
it's
business
profitable.
being what? Dixon
Okay,
Group
so
Realty?
so on the third anniversary, I signed up for broker classes. That's in January. We spend from January to August, so a good 8 months maybe, launching the company. So I mean, it's a big deal and a lot of moving parts to launch a real estate company. You know, because you have legal forms, you have compliance. It's not like there's 15 things to do and you can do them all at once. You got to
Right.
do one, finish it, and then you got to do this one, and then you
Yes.
got to go through compliance, and then you got to get this license, and you got, you know.
And just for people who don't know, so you have brokers and you have real estate agents, and every real estate agent needs to tuck under a broker. You need to have a
Correct.
broker over you. So when you became a real estate agent, January 28th of 2015, you were under someone. I think it was Benchmark, maybe, or whoever, right? But you were, is that right?
Yeah, it was started out Blackwell.
Okay.
And then I went to Benchmark because, again, I knew I wanted to launch my company.
Okay, gotcha. So, but the main point being, you had to be under a broker,
Right.
So when you wanted to start, it was Dixon Group Realty, correct?
Yep.
So when you want to start Dixon Group Realty, you wanted to be the broker,
Yep.
and then you would have agents under you. And so, just so people that aren't familiar with the industry
Yeah.
kind of know the moving dynamics, so January 2018 to August, you're launching Dixon Group Realty, and you know, the real estate's a very, very specific. Like, there's a lot of rules around real estate, actually, thankfully.
Yeah.
Because interestingly enough, it's one of these things where a very common, everyday, maybe even uneducated, unexperienced, even what's the word, naive, maybe even gullible type people often will participate in an investment of $100, $200, $300,000. It's the same type of thing where those same people, well, for a lot of people, quite frankly, it's the biggest buying purchase of their life.
100%.
And so I think it's great that there's a lot of rules around it, because otherwise people could get taken advantage of big time. Because it's some people are buying real estate that are, wouldn't get
Yep.
taken advantage of, and they're fine. And there's other people where, like, this is maybe the one and only, or they've never done something like this before, and they need to be protected. So
Yeah.
there's all
And
these
honestly,
rules that you had to abide by as a broker.
Oh yeah, and I mean the problem is the bar to get into real estate is way too low. Like, if you can bag groceries, you can get your real estate license. But there's a big difference in getting into real estate and being successful
Yes.
in real estate. Those are
Quite a bit different.
two different things.
Quite a bit of difference.
It's very easy. Everybody has a brother that's going to buy a house
Yes.
in the next 2 years, 3 years. But to actually be able to build a successful business is a lot of work.
Yes.
A lot of
Well,
work.
you see this with life insurance too, because some of the times with insurance policies in particular, I believe life insurance is, they give people license because they know that they'll probably sell to a few of their friends and their family, and that's about it. But if you get enough of those people out there, tying up under one company or whatever, like the number, it's just a numbers game. And so people get into it, and then it turns out that, they don't put in the work or the effort to make it really rock for them. And then it's just a part-time thing. And what do you know? They wind up selling to their friends and family, and that's about it.
That's about it.
And that happens with real estate too,
All
a
the time.
lot.
All the time. I mean, I'll tell you this. Benchmark is an incredible company. Like, I have no beef with Benchmark. I don't have, there's only one company that I have a beef with, and it's my very actual first company that I started off with. I won't say who it is, because I got screwed out of some money. I won't, but I actually love all the companies I've been with. I really do. And it's really only been a business decision for all the moves that I've made over the years.
Yep. Another thing just to point out for people that don't know is, then you have a real estate agent, you have a broker. And so as a broker, you're going to get a slice of the pie when one of their houses sells. So when an agent sells something, they're going to get the majority of that commission, but they're going to pass some along to the broker.
So yeah, for those who don't know how real estate law works, like you said, the reason why they do that is they want somebody's, butt on the line, right? So technically, today I'm with Compass now. Even though I'm quote unquote selling your house, technically I'm not selling your house. Compass is selling your house, and more specifically, my broker. Okay, even though he knows nothing about it, he is the one selling the house, or Compass is, right? They do that because in fact, now, if I mess something up, I'm probably going to get sued. But you know who's also going to get sued? My broker.
Right.
Yes. So they want to know who is ultimately responsible.
Yes.
For this transaction, and they want to be able to point and say the buck stops with you.
Yes.
If they screw it up, that's your fault. You didn't train them.
Yep.
If they screw it up, that's your fault. You didn't check the paperwork.
Yes.
Right. So that's how that works. You have to either be a broker or be under a broker. And I wanted to be my own broker because I wanted to be able to have control over everything. Like I'm a weirdo when it comes to marketing. I mean, I have my own like logo, like, so I'm that kind of weird guy.
Yeah.
So, and I also had this idea of like, I want to own property. I've talked about, I want 1,000 doors. I'm like, I hate what is out there now. Let's just build it. Like that's, and a lot of naivete, if you will, right? Let's just build it. And so my thought was I'm gonna build a company, and it's gonna have multiple facets. And it's gonna have we're gonna sell real estate, residential. We're gonna get into investing. We're gonna have an investment arm. We're gonna have a property management arm. We're gonna eventually have a holding company, where we hold company, we hold property. But once they go to move out, we'll also be able to sell them property. We also have the property management. And the idea was to build this whole ecosystem around real estate.
Yeah.
Right?
So there's going to be one company with multiple product lines, so to speak.
Yep.
Correct? Tying back under Dixon Group Realty.
Yeah. And so almost you build, like you said, an ecosystem to where it all feeds off of each other. And so the more you're in it, everyone thrives.
Right.
That was the whole idea, and that's kind of what we set out to build. And we started doing it. Right. I mean, we did it. We started it off. We got it going. We went from 3 people to 10 people. I think it was 3 or 4 people. Me, had an ops agent, that also did transaction coordinator, and had a buyer. That was on my quote team before we launched.
What's a buyer?
A buyer agent. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
A buyer's agent. So somebody that is helping. I give leads to, and they go sell.
Yep.
Right. And we grew from 3 people to 10 people in 18 months or so. And I mean, we could have grown more people, but I was trying to be selective and all this stuff. But during that whole time, I'm over here, I'm trying to build a business and trying to build this empire, to build, I'm pouring my blood, sweat, tears, and a crap ton of money into it, putting it getting it off the ground. And over here, I'm really doing a lot of soul work. I'm understanding like who I am. Am I willing to make these hard decisions? Right? Am I honest with myself
at the same time?
And it's kind of like these two things, these 2 major things going on in my life at once, right? And so yeah, I mean that's what we were doing. We were building it and growing and got a team and all these things. And I think ultimately, I had a company, Compass, which is kind of a high-end company out of Nashville, start recruiting me. And I said for a long time, like, thanks, but no thanks. This is my baby. Again, I'm pouring my whole being into this thing.
Yep.
And we had moved a couple offices a couple times, and I just knew something was missing, right? Like stressed all the time, waking up at 1:30 in the morning, freaking out. Kind of stuff. And again, it's not like the company wasn't making money. It was tough, but we were keeping it open. And anyway, I just had to come to this point in my life where I'm like, what am I going to do? Right? Am I, because this is where it gets into the idea of, are you willing to suffer at least what to a lot of people looks like a loss out in the open. I mean, think about it. At this whole time, we're documenting a weekly vlog.
Oh, you're doing a vlog when you had Dixon Group Realty.
Yeah.
And you're vlogging about how you're building the company, where you're going, what your vision is, how it's going.
Yep.
You're vlogging this whole thing.
We're vlogging the whole thing. Yeah. Like, and it's called From the Ground Up. And I mean,
see.
the whole, I mean, even though it's kind of like the whole premise of it was we're building a company.
Yes.
You want to follow along on this journey.
Yes. Gotcha.
And suddenly I'm faced with this decision of, is it time to end the company?
Right.
Right. And I'm living this out in the open. Like, what's going to happen?
It's tough.
It's tough. But when I really stopped and thinking about it, when I really came back to the table and said, well, because Nate, he's my right-hand man. He was like, well, maybe we should think about this. And I said, well, okay, we'll look into it. We'll run the numbers. And literally within a week, I knew, like, in my soul, it's time. It's time.
And
to kill
when
the
was
company.
this? Do you have a month or a year?
November
November of last year?
October to November.
November of 2019?
Of 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's recent. We're recording this in April of 2020.
Yeah. So I've only been with Compass since January 1st.
Wow.
Well, technically the end of December, I did come on.
Yeah.
But I finished all of my old contracts that closed in 2019. I closed under Dixon Group Realty, had a clean break, been with Compass. So this is a very relatively recent decision. And I think what was so fascinating to me was, and I think what even made me happy, a little giddy, is not that I was shutting down the company. And it wasn't even that. I mean, obviously, it wasn't that I was shutting down the company. It wasn't that, I just lost $100,000, right? Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
What was so incredible about the whole thing was how at peace I was with the decision. Like, I like the fact that all this soul work and understanding who I am, understanding, like, is this really what you want? Because that was the whole question. Like, the whole question going in my mind was, is this really who you are? And I wasn't. And I wasn't good at it. Like, I mean, I was good at sales. I wasn't good at leadership. I wouldn't even say I wasn't good at leadership. I wasn't good at being a broker.
Management, would you say?
I'm terrible. Like, there's nobody less organized than I am. Right. And I mean, I found myself all day, every day behind a computer doing compliance, doing accounting, payroll. Somebody call you at 2:00 in the middle of the day. Hey, can I get a check?
Oh, yeah.
I got to stop what I'm doing and
Yep.
go copy paperwork and archive them and get your stupid check and all this stuff. And I'm just like, this is stupid. And I mean,
Did you feel that from day one? From day one with Dixon Group Realty? Like, when did you start to feel like, man, I'm spending a lot of time doing activities that I do not enjoy at all.
It was early on.
It was early on.
Well, I also had, at the time, I had somebody on the team that was incredibly talented in all those areas, right? Like, she had an accounting degree, she had a business degree. She was virtually the one that launched the company. I was just the face.
I see, sure. You were the vision and the brand, essentially, and the ambition, and she was the nuts and bolts.
She was the nuts and bolts.
I see.
And really good at it. Incredible at it. But even then, though, at the end of the day, it still came down to me. Right. At the end of the day, like, I still had to be the one that was making sure compliance was happening. Right. And I was honest. Like, it was really awesome to be able to say, I own a real estate company in Nashville. Sure. I mean, when Nashville's a hot spot, sure. Right. You know that there's a sense of pride
Feels
there. Like,
good, yeah.
Yeah. I own my own company in Nashville, one of the top 3 markets in the entire country.
Yeah.
But I realized when I really stopped and I had those cigars and I had those moments and I was quiet, I'm like, this ain't me. Just ain't me. Like, I want to travel. I want to go. I like selling. I like building relationships. And I knew, like, this is not getting me to where I want to go. And in fact, I started it because I thought it was going to get me to where I wanted to go, but it was actually pulling me away. Right? I mean, when you spend 40% of your time outside of your strengths, even if you can do it, you're not going to do it to your full capacity, right? And in fact, I actually sold less with a team of 10 than I sold by myself the year before.
So to be clear, by yourself the year before, you're just out there rocking.
Yep.
And you're just selling real estate. You're giving away a slice of your income to a broker, right?
Right.
But then you've got your own brokerage, and it's you and 9 others. There's 10 of you total.
Yeah,
and you sold less.
7 agents, 2 operations people.
And you sold less.
Sold less.
Because you were the one that could really sell. And under this company, you're focused on things that have nothing to do with sales.
Exactly. And I mean, I had to be honest and say, I'm not good at accounting.
Right.
Like literally, I had my number 2 decided to move on in April. I didn't keep the books the rest of the year.
April of 19?
Yeah. What
are you going to do for your taxes?
I've got my accountant going through it all now.
So now they've got a nightmare to clean
up. I've got a really good team around me now.
Sure.
Right. And I mean, and I've told them, they know like I'm a freaking mess.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a hell of a salesman.
Yep.
But I'm not a details guy.
Yeah.
I'm just not. And I told him on the front end, like, this is what you're getting. If you come on, your job is to keep my head straight because I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
And just the ability to know it's time to close the company, be completely at peace with it, made me as happy as anything else.
Wow.
Like the fact that I was in a place spiritually, emotionally, everything, that I could kill the thing that I've been pouring the last 18 to 20 months of my life into. Like, I'm like, this is what it's all about. Right? Like that made me, that told me that I was really getting in the right direction.
When you had doubts when you were running this company, growing it, when you had doubts about, man, is this really what I should be doing? Was the question even greater than that, as in, should I even be in real estate? What should I be doing? Or was it, man, should I really be doing this? Or should I just become an agent again? Was it always clear to you that if you don't be a broker, if you don't build your own real estate company, you would just become an agent again? Or was the question, if I don't do this, I don't know what I would do?
I always loved the real estate. Okay. Like, I don't think it was for me. Sales is fun. Okay. And really even beyond that, it's the pursuit. It's like the building. I knew that I would stay in, at least I had a hunch that I would stay in real estate.
I see.
But it was more of like, there's this sense of pride. Like for me, it's my identity is wrapped into, I need to have control. Right? I need to have control. Like this needs to be mine. Like I'm building. Like my biggest struggle through most of my life has been tied to you're never going to be good enough. Right? Like and it's interesting. And we kind of talked about this, but off air one time when I was here. But a lot of my identity most of my life has been trying to prove something. Right. And so for me, and it's been weird, and I'll go through this in a minute, but like before I had this complex, and again, all this to say, I'm glad that I had the company. I'm completely glad I did it. I needed it. I needed to get out of my system. Otherwise, I would always wonder, could I have done it?
Yes, which I think that's a key point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sad that I did it. Sure. I don't regret it. I'm glad that I did it.
Yep.
Because now I know that I hate it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that is great.
But my big struggle through most of my life has been, you need to prove that you're better than people think that you are. Like you're a joke, all this kind of.
Where'd that come from?
I was always the quiet, good kid. Right? I don't know. I think that I was always the little brother kind of thing. Like that's kind of like, again, I think that there was a lot of, I mean, if I'm honest, daddy issue. You're like kind of like wanting a father figure and then not feeling like you get that, even though I had, my dad, and we've kind of gotten in a lot better place now. But I think for me, in a time in my life where I really needed somebody to step up and help, right? I didn't feel like there was somebody there.
Oh, interesting. So maybe that's the overlap with me, because I feel that too. I
Yeah.
feel the need to prove myself, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel the need for significance.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's parts of that where everyone does, but then I think I know for a fact, what you're saying, or the need for significance. It's not everyone has that particular desire that strongly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't want to just be like, well, yeah, that everyone kind of has this and kind of move on. Like some people do have this more than others, I think.
No, I 100% agree.
And so I think maybe what you said is needed someone to come through. Maybe that's where some of it came from for me too. I lost my dad when I was 10, like going through teenage years, and even in, low 20s, getting married, taking over a business. Those are the years where it'd be nice to have a dad to look out for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To help, show the way, to open the path, those types of things. So I don't know, maybe even for me, that's partly where that came from.
I know for a fact that's where it's me. Like for me, like, and that's what I think what really pissed me off as a kid. Like I had a physical dad. He just wasn't emotionally there.
I see.
Right. And like I had an uncle, but his philosophy was, if you don't take care of yourself, nobody's going to do it.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, where are the guys in my life?
Right.
Like where are the people? Like I'm a 16, 17-year-old dude dealing with divorced parents. Don't know who the hell I am. Like where are all the guys? Like where is the leadership in my life? And it kind of come back to this fuck you moment of like, I'm just going to be better than you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it, and it kind of gave me, even though it had a negative thing, it gave me a purpose. Like that's what's been fascinating. Like when I made decisions of what I'm going to do for a career, it came back to like, prove yourself. Where are you going to live? Prove yourself. Why do you want a bigger house? Because you got to prove you're better.
Right.
Why am I spending so much time with my son? Because I'm going to prove I'm a better father.
Why are you opening a real estate? Why are you building a company when you're just born to sell? Prove yourself.
Prove yourself.
Interesting.
Right?
Well, what's fascinating about that is, part of that might have been behind some of your desire to help others, coach others,
100%.
teach, that type of thing. Like even the, what was it called? The Marvin Bella blog?
Yep.
Even some of that teaching, like maybe it was a way for you to reach out to other guys, and help other people or
100%.
Be in a relationship, like offer some things to other young men that are out there that you didn't have. Yeah. Because, yeah. And I don't know exactly what this principle is, but it's the idea that sometimes you gravitate towards certain activities that
you wish you had,
that you wish you have, or that in a way is healing for you, personally. So,
like, I'll give you an example. This is a true story. My very first truck was a this old red Nissan that my aunt gave me for free. It's just an old clunker, right? Susan gave it to me. I thought it was the coolest thing. I was 16, I didn't have no money. So she's like, I have this old truck. You can have it. It was a stick shift. Like I literally taught myself how to drive a stick shift on the way to school. That's a true story. Like, cause nobody taught me, like nobody showed me how to drive a truck. And, I remember I'm leaving and I don't even think mom knows. Maybe she does. I don't know. But I remember I'm leaving, I'm 16 and I'm about to leave. She's like, wait, you know how to drive a stick, don't you? I said, yeah, of course I do. I'm lying. I had no idea. And I said, yeah, of course I do. And she was like, oh, okay. And she just goes back in the house. And I remember getting in the truck saying, dear God, just help me not die. Just help me not die. I knew the premise of driving a truck. But that's it.
You knew generally you want to point it in the right direction.
Like you knew that, I know that I let the clutch out kind of and push the gas.
Okay.
Like I don't really know how it works, but I know that's the premise.
Yeah.
And I killed it. I remember like the first little 1/8 mile, just like I killed it like 2 or 3 times. And I killed it one more time on the way to school. And that was it.
You got it.
I got it. And so because of that, to go back to your last point, I made sure that was never going to happen for any of my siblings. I taught my sister how to drive. She could drive a stick shift at 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
I taught my brother. I taught all the kids, all the young kids at church, all how to drive. Like anybody that wanted to know how to drive. I taught my wife how to drive a stick. And because I was just like, nobody was there to teach me.
Interesting.
So I'm going to make sure you don't have to go through the same humiliation that I did.
Yeah.
And I taught probably 25 kids how to drive.
That's great. What I like about that is you did not get reclusive or become bitter or withdraw. Your reaction was to reach out to others that might need the same help. That's noble. Don't skip over that. That's very noble. But the other thing that struck me is, and this is going to be way above my head in terms of psychology, but it strikes me as fascinating that your mom asked you right when you were ready to leave for school, do you know how to drive stick shift? Can you drive stick shift? Is it going to be okay? And your reaction was, oh yeah, you're fine. But if your dad had been like, hey, now I don't know that you know how to drive stick shift, or do you know how to drive stick shift? And if not, can I teach you the night before? Or even that morning, an hour before school, you probably would have said, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
that would
probably.
be great, right?
Yeah,
so
probably.
to your mom, you were like, no, I got it. I'm good.
Yeah.
But and maybe that has something to do with...
my therapist asked me the same question.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a great answer for her either. But
I think there's something there with the female figure or the mom figure.
I did feel like... so I think it went back to that complex of being the good kid
and also,
too.
And also, you don't want your mom to teach you how to drive stick shift.
Oh,
That's
no.
sort of humiliating
It's like
too.
having the sex talk with your mom.
Right.
Yeah,
it'd be
you
better
don't
to
want
go
that.
figure it out yourself.
Yeah, for sure. As much as I love mom, I love mom more than life, but like,
Right.
no, we're not having that talk.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So I think that's part of it. I mean, I did grow up like my older brother and younger brother are very similar in that they were the two kids that said anything and everything that they wanted, and me and my younger sister, which is the baby, were the quiet ones, the submissive ones.
Yeah.
And in some kind of weird way, I kind of had this feeling like I needed to protect mom. Like she dealt with depression really heavy. And so like I kind of felt like I got to hold everything together kind of thing. So like that was just not, maybe it was like I didn't want to put a burden on her kind of thing. But yeah, I was just totally lied about it. I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I'll just figure it out. And I think that's what, I think another thing that my therapist has really helped me with, and this goes to your another one of your points, is that there are innate desires, traits. Like for me, I love to teach, right? Like I would have taught no matter what, right? But the decision of why I taught might have been a little bit different. So, So, for example, there's this, and this is something that, and this going to the psychology and all this stuff, right? We're going to go there. It's kind of like ambition, this need for significance. Like, there is a need for significance in my life, even now. And that is not a bad thing. And that's what she's helping me and has helped me, I guess, realize. Like, some people don't have that need. Like, they don't have a need to do big things and do great things, right? And that's not bad. It's just like some people are content to have their little slice of the world.
Yes.
This is my little slice of the world. I'm happy here.
Right.
Other people like me have this need for significance. Yep. That's why I like to build things. I can't manage things. Like I need to see growth happening, not stability in a sense, right?
Yep. You want to be taking risks. You want to challenge. You want a hill to conquer. You want a vision that you're excited about. Yeah. All of these things.
And so that part of me, you have to almost, as you're working through this, doing this soul work, you have to learn to discern the difference. Like there's there's this need for significance that is actually healthy.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
There's this part of you you should never feel bad of like, I want to do great things. I want to leave an impact. I want to do amazing things. Like that is part of your soul. That's your DNA.
Yes. For
me though, I had to learn to separate like that part of me is good. Yet on the other side, the other part of me was tying my identity into what
Right,
I
I
did.
see.
Does that make
Yes,
sense?
yeah, that does make sense.
Like this need for significance is great. I mean,
Yep.
it's part of you. Just don't let what you do identify, be who you are.
Yeah, that
right.
makes sense. Sure.
So, and that's what I had to really discern of like, I would have started my own business anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have been better from a place of offense, meaning like a place where I'm not doing it because I need significance.
Sure.
I'm doing it,
Right.
or I'm not doing it because I have a hole
Mm-hmm.
that I'm trying to fill.
Yes, exactly.
I'm doing it because this is just part of who I am.
Yes.
Does that make
Yep.
sense?
Yep. It's almost in similar, but maybe a little different ways. It's almost like the difference between running from something and running to something.
Yeah, that's
You know?
exactly what we said. Like,
Yeah.
like I would have still ran,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to run to things, not
Sure.
from things.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy, and that's actually came up in our little sessions. Like, I would have still ran.
Mm-hmm.
I just, but the purpose may have been.
I see.
Right.
Yep. So are you working through all of this while simultaneously you're running the company, not enjoying it, and then starting to have questions about, geez, is this really what I should be doing?
Yeah.
And you're dealing with this personal stuff at the same time?
100%.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
I mean-
That's a lot, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's 18 months of that. It's 18
wow.
months of working through really hard,
So
hard stuff.
You were not into building the company very long at all before you started to question it?
No, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just question. I mean, I don't think I didn't connect the answer of closing the business or do I really like the business until probably 8, 9, 10 months down into it.
I see.
Like, so I'm doing this soul work here while I'm also building this business while having this kind of like this nagging feeling of what's wrong. It didn't really occur till later that like, I'm not built for this.
So the soul work had like a 9 or 10 month head start on the real questioning of, am I built for this? Should I be doing this?
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it all kind of came full circle when you had that opportunity pop up.
The compass opportunity.
Compass opportunity.
Okay, gotcha. And the compass opportunity is basically, they're taking. I mean, you can talk more about it later, but they're basically taking high performing agents. They were trying to get you to come on board because you're high performing, right?
Right.
Okay, so then what were some of the final straws or the final decision points or data that really made it clear like this decision needs to be made? Like, what is there a moment? Is there things that led up to a moment? Were there final challenges that you were just like, nope, this is it?
So I didn't even. I'll say this: I didn't even seriously consider closing my company until probably November. And I will say that is one thing about me. I got a quick trigger. For the most part, I start things quickly. I end things quickly.
You moved on a Sunday.
I moved on a
telling
Sunday.
anyone.
Yeah, like we literally woke up and said today's the day. This is what we're doing. Almost the same time, I said, "Hey, I want to go get into real estate." Done.
Yeah.
And I just shifted.
Yep.
For me, I didn't even really consider closing the company until we were up for renewal on our lease. That was kind of like the catalyst.
Oh, interesting.
It was really,
Okay.
I knew like, all right, the lease is up in February. This is November. Do I really want to do this for another year?
I see.
Right. So that was kind of the moment.
You're protecting the downside. In a way, you delayed the decision until you really needed to make it.
Yeah.
Because I think about that quite a lot with decisions, whether it's something to do with the kids or a household thing, or whether it's something Marianne and I are discussing, or whether it's a business thing is, and I don't remember the exact kind of stated principle here, but it stuck with me because I heard it a while ago and it's really stuck. It's basically, it's a Jim Collins principle, it's the idea that you delay the decision until essentially the risk increases.
Yeah.
But essentially, delay the decision without procrastination as long as you can. Like, why not? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why make a decision now when there'd be no difference at all if you made the decision a month from now? A lot of decisions aren't like that. Some decisions are like, you need to make them today, tomorrow, or this week. If you delay it a month, that's going to be long past. It's going to cause an issue or whatever. But some decisions you can actually delay a little bit. But when it comes time to sign up for the lease, guess what? Here's kind of a stake in the ground. Like, if we decide a month after we sign up for this new lease, that makes no sense. Now you're stuck, playing out this lease. But also, deciding a month prior or 2 months prior, maybe you had some time. So just this idea of like not being too quick on the trigger. If you have a little time, take the time.
Yeah.
Sleeping on things for a night is not a bad idea.
And so,
if you have the time.
Yeah. And so that was kind of the catalyst of like, okay, the lease is coming up February 1st. So, I mean, really at that point, we're 2 months out. We're pretty much November, December, January. So depending on, I guess 3 because it was 1st of November. And so I pretty much went through, ran the numbers, and it made no sense. Like literally in 2 years, almost 2 years, I had sold about 18 million because I'd sold almost 10 myself the year before, and then 8
with you and the whole
with
team.
Me and the whole freaking team, which is stupid. Because and look, the reason why I think that it didn't just jump out at me is because I don't really care about money. I like money,
Yes.
but at the end of the day, I don't really care. Like it was never about the money for me. Like, I even said that. I bet I said that 100 times during this 18 to 20 month journey. Was like I don't really care about the money. It's about the impact. It's about the legacy. About building something. Like I said all the time. Like if I wanted to make more money, I'd go back to benchmark.
Yes.
Right. Like this is a no brainer if it's about money. But it was never about money for me.
That makes sense.
But I started running the numbers, and in 18 months or whatever, in the 20 months, sold about 18 million. And out of 18 million, 5 deals didn't come from me. So like,
whoa.
So as in other words, like when I say come from me, either I physically sold it, or if you were on my team, I'd say, hey Kent, here's a lead, just close it.
Wow.
In 2 years, 5 deals didn't come from me. And if you take out, like, again, everything that I contributed, the company brought in like $5,000.
Yeah.
In 2 years.
Yeah.
The company paid $5,000. I paid $30,000 a year just in a lease.
Right. Yeah.
What the hell am I doing?
Yep. So basically during this time, you're floating the company with your personal commission income. That's basically what's happening, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm floating it with my commission and leads that I'm giving to people. Like,
Sure.
And I'm bringing home as little as possible.
Yes.
Pouring it back into the company. Yep. And so I realized, like, I'm stressed. I'm doing something I don't like. And that was the thing, that moment of like, when I finally said to myself, I don't like it. Right? That made it all better. Like when I was finally honest, because I would tell myself I like it, but I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
But when I finally said, A, I actually am not good at this and I don't like it. And B, everything that I'm doing is coming from me anyway.
Right.
I'm like, I can do this anywhere.
Yes.
Right. And I went back to Compass. I said, hey, let's have a conversation. They made me an incredible deal. And I said, let's do it. I signed it up right there.
When did you make the actual decision? November of 18?
No, it was actually end of November, 1st of December.
I see.
I mean, really, I had just enough time to tell the team.
I see.
I mean, I can't remember the exact day. I'm terrible about things like that. But
what did you feel like at that point that you stood to lose? Money, reputation, significance?
That's the thing.
What did you feel like you stood to lose?
7 months earlier, had you asked me that question, it would have been significance. But that was what made me so happy. Like, I was in a place when I made that decision that I didn't care what people thought. I legitimately didn't care. And that's what made me so happy. Like, I was legitimately at a place like, I can close this company and I don't care.
Yeah. I don't care what the people that are following me on the vlog think. I don't care what my employees think. I don't care.
No,
you care what they think. But
I say the employees. The only hard thing about making the decision was my team. Because I pretty much had to go to virtually everybody and say, except for 1 or 2, and say, you're going to have to go somewhere else.
Right.
Like, that was the only decision.
Sure.
So if you'd asked me 7-8 months earlier, I would have said, I'm losing significance. Like, this is a hurt to who I am. I'm a failure. I legitimately was in a place like, I don't care. Like, I'm just happy. Like, this is the right, if I know this is the right decision, and I truly believe it, I don't care.
Yeah. Was that because you were so pleased with the decision? You were so pleased with the possibilities of this new path, or because whatever you were doing was hurting really badly and it sucked and you were just ready for it to be over?
Both.
Mm-hmm.
I think a part of it was like, this sucks. I'm ready for this to be over.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just legitimately knew I go by instinct a lot. Like, I just follow my gut a lot. And just my heart knew, like, it's time. It's time to close the company. And I like it, like, hey, I poured into it. I've not left anything on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried. I poured it out. I realized I suck at it. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, I talk to my
team. It takes guts, man. It takes honesty.
You know, like, I tell my team all the time, I'm like, guys, I suck at this. Like, I'm just not good.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. And that's been, again, going back to the theme of, like, are you being honest with yourself?
Sure.
Is this really who you are?
Yep.
Or are you doing this for an alternative reason?
Yes. Yep.
Right?
Yep. And so now you are still buying, or you're still buying and selling real estate.
Yeah.
You're still helping people buy and sell real estate.
Yeah.
It's just Alan Dixon as a top performing agent.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, we're having a better year than we've ever had. I mean, we're already at 60-70% of what we did all last year.
In closings
sales.
or what?
Yeah.
In actual closings or in contracts?
In closing / contract. So far I'm at $5 million.
Okay.
3.5 months in. I told the team if we hit 17, I'll take them to the beach.
Absolutely.
So, like, I mean, I got freedom. Like, I think that's the big thing. Like, for me, I got the freedom. I can do what I want to do.
Now, just for people who might be thinking this, because I'm kind of curious, because you still refer now to a team. So what's the setup now? Do you still have a team that you're...
I do.
But what's different now than how it was? I mean, I understand you're not working towards property management and building these companies and having this product lines and everything. I understand you're not working towards that right now. You're focused on you selling, right?
Yeah.
But there's still a team. So what's the dynamic?
So the dynamic now is I have myself, so let me do this. When I had the brokerage, I sold, but I also had to make sure accounting happened and compliance happened and make sure that everything's going, make sure rent's getting paid, make sure I'm doing training for all of my agents all the time. Look, and that was another thing. I mean, I created hours and hours of training, and son of a bitch, none of them watched it. None of them watched it. I mean, one girl, I think, watched it.
Yeah.
And I like, people would come to me all the time, like, how do you feel this out? I got a video on it. It's like, oh, I know, but can you show me?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Like, right? It's so annoying.
Yeah.
And I told them this, so I'm not saying anything. I didn't tell them straight to their face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I created this training.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing? So, I sold, but sold was just a small part. I had, again, payroll and
Gotcha.
all that.
Yep.
Now the setup is I spend 90% of my day selling. So it's me. I got Nate Yule, which is my right-hand man. I think he's legitimately one of the best ops guys out there, period. I mean, just absolutely period. He is my friend. He's my best friend, but like that aside, he's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So he does all of my ops. So literally when I get a house under contract, I sign the contract and I give it to Nate. And I'm done with it.
He handles it.
I'm done with it.
Yeah, okay.
So outside of stepping in, I'm still staying in contact with the clients and let them know I'm thinking about them or whatever. And I'm when we go to negotiate repairs, I'll step in and do that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't touch the contract.
I see.
As soon as we get under contract.
Okay. So now you're really allowed to, you may have a team now, but they're just going to be people that help you sell.
They are
basically.
their whole job right now is to support me and my selling.
I see. Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
So like as before,
It
I'm
makes
over
total sense.
payroll and accounting and compliance.
Yes.
Now I do one thing all day, every day.
Almost in a sense, before your job was to kind of train everyone and make them succeed. And this is not quite the case, but now more like their job is to help you succeed.
Yeah.
And you can run in your lane.
Yep.
And of course, by you running in your lane, they're going to succeed too, obviously.
So I have Nate, and he does that, and he actually runs my media right now too. So he's over making sure all the marketing's happen, things like that. The goal is for us to be so busy he can't do that anymore. Like that is the goal.
Yep.
But until then, that's what he's doing.
Yes.
And then I have an assistant, and my assistant does all of my other stuff. So she's helping keeping up with accounting and keeping up with making sure bills are paid. Which there are significantly less bills now. But
for sure.
Making sure that does a lot of my personal stuff. So making sure things are ordered, things are done. Like she focuses on keeping my personal stuff along with my investments and all that kind of
gotcha
moving.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I buy and flip properties too. So making sure that the subs are turning in their W-9s and insurance and all this and boom, right? And just doing things like that.
Sure. Now, you were at the beach at some point after you made this decision, and you were sitting out on the beach in the morning with your coffee. You know what I'm referring to? You mentioned this the last time you were here.
You're talking about the my last one or one of my last ones?
Maybe.
No?
It just felt, I think you just mentioned that everything felt right. It felt at peace, and you really felt like you made the right decision, and there was no kind of anxiety or angst in your gut. Like, can you?
Yeah. No.
Am I butchering this? Can you speak to that?
Yeah. The beach. So the beach for me, I think I went four or five times last year to the beach. I'm just a beach bum.
Lauren both.
Me and Lauren could literally go out and sit 8 hours. Wow. Like if we didn't have a kid, we could go sit 8 hours, take some snacks and some beer, and we'd sit there all day and not feel guilty at all.
What do you like about the beach?
I think it's the rhythm. It's the one part, at the point of Earth that the earth and the water meet, right? It's that one location where you look out and you see nothing but water, right?
Yeah. But it's also the only place you can really go to get that strong and powerful of a rhythm in the water. Because if you go to a lake, I grew up in lakes, and Seneca Lake was a big lake, and we get some waves, but it would lap at the shore. Okay, that's very different than the ocean, a big dull roar. Like you actually can't get that anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, you get to sit there with your coffee or whatever you have, smoke a cigar, you feel the wind. There's just enough of that roaring, just the constant. It's like you can drown everything out. Right. It's also been a place historically where I go to make decisions and go to think about life and where it's going. It's a place where I try to find healing. Right. So if I'm feeling anxious, I can go and I can just kind of veg out, and I can let things surface. Right. Like it's almost like it's a safe place to let things come up. Right.
Yeah, it really is.
And I can come and I can sit there and I can let things come up, and I don't have to worry about the work. I ain't got to worry about nothing. I'm here for a while.
Yes.
And I can let it. And what was fascinating is after that decision, and it's actually our last trip because we already went once this year. It was the most bizarre thing that we're there, and we're there. I'm laying down, and I'm in a complete and utter peace. Like, I'm trying to physically conjure up emotions so I can deal with them, because that's what I usually do at the beach, and I can't even do it. Like, I can't even bring anything up because I'm just such at peace.
Wow.
And I slept. It was the best I slept in, I don't know, man, years. Yeah. Literally years. And it was just, it's just this combination of, I know I've made the right decision. I'm in a really good place, to be able to make those kind of hard decisions. I'm not afraid of a hard decision anymore. Like that, that's the thing. Like, I feel like I'm in a place where I've proven to myself I'm willing to make a hard decision.
Right. Yeah.
Which I've historically not been good at all. Like,
Yeah.
in fact,
That's a big lesson, man.
the opposite. I've always avoided hard decisions, and that's when we started out talking about that. That's one thing I've always admired about you is you can make those hard decisions. That has not been historically easy for me, right? I'm a people pleaser. I like to make sure everybody's happy and everybody's comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to set my personal feelings and what I want to the side, so that I can make somebody else comfortable.
Yep.
The problem is you self-sabotage, right? Like
Sure.
at the end of the day, like if you're not full, you have nothing to pour.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting.
So,
How would you differentiate between, hey, here we have someone who's actually where they should be. Not every day is rosy. There's good days and bad days. There's parts of any job that we're not going to enjoy, but you're where you should be, continue on. How do we differentiate between that and, no, you're not in your sweet spot. This is not what you should be doing. This is not play on your strengths. How would you coach someone through that?
that's a tough one. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, and you have to be honest, because like here's the deal. I lied to myself and a lot of people for a long time. The first question you have to say is, am I truly honest with myself? Because you can lie to yourself. You can tell yourself, oh yeah, I'm happy, when you're not. Because, and that for me is something that I've actually talked to people about. And I'm like, at the end of the day, only you can answer that. Like, are you truly honest with yourself? And then the next thing is, I think I would ask them to start, at least questioning, because it is hard. It is hard to differentiate, like, this is just a sucky part of, what I do versus I'm unfulfilled.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Like, there's a difference in, like, even now, there's times I have to get in there and I do paperwork and I hate it.
Yeah, okay.
But that doesn't mean I'm unfulfilled. Right.
Yeah, that's a great distinction. What stuck out to me was your mention of 40% of the time. Because it feels to me like, if I'm doing something that 40% of the time, it's activities that I do not enjoy, are not good at, and detest, that's probably too much of the time.
Yeah. I think so.
I don't know what a percentage, healthy 5, 10, 50, I have no idea what healthy percentage is, but 40% of doing things that you don't like or not good at is probably too high. But that's interesting distinction between doing some things you don't enjoy and finding fulfillment.
And here's the other thing too. And I know this is not very actionable. It's not like do A, B, and C, and you'll know the right answer. But the other thing is, do you really understand who you are? We've hit on this a lot, but me and you, in a lot of ways, have a deep need for significance. Other people do not. And one of them is not better than the other. Right? Like, if you are, this is my world, I like it, I'm content here, I want to do the same thing every day and know that I'm doing a good job. If that's who you are, but you're trying to play yourself like you're a significance guy, you're in the wrong spot. Right? Because the significant, someone needing for significance and someone who's driven and someone who has all these things, they're more likely to be in the light, right? They're more likely to get praise. They're more likely to, or vice versa. They may be more likely to be the one who, when they fall on their face, gets laughed at.
Sure.
Right? And so, but because of that, there are times when you have those people trying to be somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like that's what I should be, right? That's what's going to get all the claps, and that's what's going to get all the praise, and that's what people are going to write or whatever.
Yes.
Even if it's in your mind, that's what people are thinking.
Yes.
But if you're truly one of those people, like, I don't really need that, I don't really want that, you've got to follow it. So
And the other thing that ties in close with that too is shame, because should is a shame word. So it's like, I should be this, I should do that, this is how I should behave to make others be cool with me. That's a shame ties in very closely with that, because if I'm not that, then I'm going to make a fool of myself, or I'm going to, people are going to be ashamed of me, or I'm going to be ashamed of myself, So I think shame ties in there real close on the flip side of some of those motivations is you really are trying to do everything you can to not disappoint people, because that would bring you shame. And that's no place to be. What about, how about like outside counsel? Did you get a lot of outside counsel in this decision, or you just knew deep down this had to happen and counsel wasn't going to change much of it?
It didn't matter.
Okay.
Like really, I was going to come to you that one day.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm like, I'm really just coming to tell somebody, In fact, I did talk to the people about it. I didn't just make it out on a whim. I did go and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is where I'm feeling. And I just, for me, I laid it out and I said, this is what I'm doing. And, I'm like, this is at least, unless something crazy happens, I know in my soul, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
And ironically, almost everybody was like, congratulations.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in fact, one of the builders that I work with, when I told them, I said, hey, by the way, I'm moving to Compass, boom, they called me right away. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, well, honestly, I'm just not happy. And I feel like, this is what I'm doing. And I feel like this is the right decision. And they were like, I want you to know something. Me and my project manager, we've been worried about you.
Oh, wow.
They were like, we were talking the other day, like, how are we going to talk to Alan? Because something's off.
Oh, wow.
And so I think ultimately everybody knew.
I see.
Like everybody could tell, like, I'm just not Alan. I'm not happy.
Yeah, I see.
And it was almost unanimously congratulations. Right?
That's great.
So I did, but I mean, there's some decisions in life that you just know, like, it's the right answer.
Right. Yes.
It's the right answer.
Yep.
And so that there was, but not much.
Yeah. Anything else you learned working through that you would kind of give as advice or counsel to people listening that might be like, this is lit something in me. This is, I've got some of my own questions and maybe I'm doing something that I shouldn't be, or will prompt someone to kind of make a change or a pivot to. Principles or other things you learned or that were helpful to you working through that you would commend to people?
I'm trying to think, because I actually talk about this a lot now. This has become a strong passion of mine. Because
what?
Helping people understand that it's okay to let go.
Oh, okay.
Like I think that through this whole thing, and again, that one of the things that has helped me a lot is telling the story out in the open, because you can't hide from it.
Right.
Even when we talked one time, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a vlog on this about closing the company. And I think Hugh and maybe Hunter or something was here and like, why would you do that? I'm like, it's the real answer. It's the real story.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would be, it's wrong of me to not tell the real story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that by doing it, a lot of people have come and approached me about this of like, there's a lot of fear around the idea of letting go of something.
Oh, there totally is, man.
That we've built such an identity around.
And you don't have to look past people's stuff. People hang on to stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They hang on to stuff that makes no sense to hang on to. Some of the time, it's because there's a fear of letting go.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating, when you put it in those terms, you are passionate about helping people. And I said, what? And you sort of said, helping people like be okay with letting go. What stuck out to me is that, yes, you have a good example of closing down your company and going with Compass. That's one example. Another example is when you let go of your job at Cook's, and you wouldn't have done that if, Finn had come along, much sooner, but you did. You let it go, and guess what? That turned out fine, actually quite well. You let go of Defeated. Yeah. On that Sunday, you let go and you move. So there's a pattern here.
And look, I don't want to. I'm going to say something that's going to sound completely blasphemous. not blasphemous, but it's true. In a way, I let go of my marriage. Okay.
Dude, I was there.
I mean, you've been there. Like, how many beers did we have over
We
this?
had a lot of beers.
And
it was
it's
a pleasure, man. But you're right. You did.
Like, what I did is not because I didn't wanted it to end, but because, like, I let myself go to toxic, unhealthy places because I'm like, I had my identity like, I can't get a divorce. I can't get a divorce. I mean, I'll have that on my resume. And what people are going to think about me, right? And so I allowed myself to go places. And Lauren and I allowed ourselves to have completely utter toxic things go on, how we talk to each other and how we did this, how we did that, because we were just so afraid. Like, if we were honest with ourselves, that's the thing. Like, if I was honest and I spoke my mind, then I might could lose her.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is real conversation here.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're having real conversations, like I was afraid of losing something because my identity was tied in it.
Yes.
And so in a lot of ways, it's not that I wanted my marriage to end, but I'm like, I'm letting go. And hopefully we'll make it on the other side.
But it's also, it's letting go. And another way to put it is to have life, you must die. Like, this happens over and over and over again in the Bible. Patrick Miller and I, in our episode, we were talking a lot about that. Because he talks a lot about that's been true of his life, is this idea of dying and then life.
Yeah.
Dying and then life. And so in a sense, everything you just said, like those life decisions or changes that we just talked about with you, in a sense, you're dying. You know what I mean? In a 100%. Sense, you died to defeat it and you moved away. And and so that's a very biblical concept. It doesn't mean that we should just, I don't think, run from everything, die to everything. No. Of course, that wouldn't make any sense. But sometimes you can't experience the new life until you die to an old one.
And let me be clear too. Like, I mean, obviously, not everybody, finds themselves where we have found ourselves. Lauren and I have never been happier, and I mean, legitimately happy.
Yeah,
like we're better now than when when you first get married, those giddy, like, I love you, you can never do anything wrong, like that phase. We're better than then than when we were there.
That's so great. I'm so happy to hear that, man.
It's because we had honest conversations, and we literally had conversations like, I don't love you anymore. And I'm not going to tell you I love you until I actually mean it. Because now I can look at her and I can say, I love you.
Right.
And I mean it.
Yes.
Like, I mean it with every part of my soul.
Yeah.
Right. Because for a long time I said it and I'm not sure I actually believed it, but I said it because I should have said it. But now we had those hard conversations. Mm-hmm. This is where I am.
Yes.
And now literally we're in a better place. I can't imagine being in a better place.
Yeah. Dude, that's so great, man. This story wound up being a lot more personal and a lot more about redemption. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought this would be a lot more about, how do you decide to pivot or make a change in business? But the story is real powerful, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's helpful for me, and I think it'll be helpful for others.
It's funny. We've had these. How many conversations like this over a cigar? I'm glad we actually get to talk.
Now it takes a podcast for us to get together. Isn't that so dumb?
It's terrible.
But it's the difference between living, 25 minutes apart, or 15 seconds,
2 doors down. Right?
Yeah, 2 doors down. Because there's something about that proximity.
That is.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
What else, man? Did we cover it?
I think so.
Okay. Alan Dixon, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks, my man.
Love you, brother.
Love you too.